There you go. That's it. We're rolling. Swear. Okay, well, my goodness, hello. My name is Howard Thomas. I head up the Sustainable Communities Institute based here at London South Bank University. We're one of 4 institutes who work in different sectors. Obviously, sustainable communities, we deal with companies and organisations that want to move forward on their sustainable agenda. We work with SMEs, one-man startups through companies like London Underground in terms of the heating and cooling, using their waste energy. So on everybody's behalf, it's called together this evening's event. A very warm welcome to you all. I was happy to do a little bit of housekeeping. You may not be surprised at this time of night we fire drill. So if the fire alarm does go off, please go out the way you came, go down the stairs to the right, and then walk down Thomas Floyd Street, the first row on your left. And so out the door, turn right, turn left, and then wait at the end of that road. Also on housekeeping, someone's head might be in the way, but we have a Wi-Fi connection for you. As for you guests, username June 30, password Thursday, all lowercase, yes, which is the God sign of the Y, which is uppercase. If you would like to tweet during tonight's event, we're using the hashtag sustainability debate. So there's more information about it up here. We're also live streaming using Google Hangouts on YouTube. So no swearing on the panel tonight, please. So as I said, Sustainable Communities Institute is all about driving forward the agenda for sustainability. And tonight's debate is our second debate in series we're putting on. We're putting on one more towards the end of the year. Can I ask, did anybody come to our first debate a couple of months ago? Okay, so that was on self-regulation versus government enforcement regulation. Very interesting debate. I'm looking forward to the debate tonight. I would like to say a big thank you, obviously, to our chair and our speakers. We've put a lot of effort in preparing for tonight. Looking forward to a very lively and interesting discussion. And also the fact that we can't really notice I think from the city is we are reading this with my notes. The all-party parliamentary sustainable built environment group. So a big thank you to them for supporting us tonight. I think that's probably, just to say, tonight's debate, okay, as you know, energy efficiency versus well-being. Are the human and social elements of built environment design overlooked in favour of energy efficiency? And I'll be honest with you, I don't quite know where I'm going to stand on this, so I'm really looking forward to tonight. I think that's everything. So you're going to be doing some magic with voting by smartphone. So please get your smartphones ready. Please put them on silent if you haven't already done so. But you will be using them to vote during this evening's debate. I think that's everything. I think that's it. Okay. It gives me great pleasure then to hand over to John, who's our chair, who will introduce our speakers. Lady and gentlemen, over to you.
Great, thank you very much, Howard. First off, to say a very welcome to everybody. It's nice to see so many faces in the audience. And before I do any kind of introduction, I'm going to try and help you out a little bit with the voting. This is how we're going to run the voting this evening. So we've got about 3 minutes of introduction from me. If you could start to look at the phones now, log on to the site and work out how you're going to be voting. You can do the calculations for you, so you can count the votes as we go along. Am I aware? There's a Wi-Fi password for LSBU _guest. That's for logging on. Password goes there with the $ and the wiser bill. Get that. I'm doing this first because I know that it'll take me ages to work out how to do this again working, so I thought I'd better pre-warn you. Everyone got the log-on details for the Wi-Fi that needs it? Everyone happy? And move back slightly again so I'm not putting on it. Okay, and then actually to do the voting, we're going to log on to slido.com, and then there's a vote code for you there as well. So if you can start doing that, I'll waffle away for a few minutes while you're doing that, and then we'll start the vote proper. Okay, and just while you're doing it, I'm not going to make you do very much, but if you don't, just have a quick nod of heads or shake. Has everyone recovered from the Brexit vote last week or not? No. Okay, great. So that's going to be my theme for the evening. This is how we're going to play it. So it's going to be fun, and hopefully it's not quite as important a decision that we had last week. So I better just explain why I'm here and why I'm chairing. I'm John Goodman. I'm from the Sustainable Development Foundation. I run the Passive House Trust, which is the leading international low energy and comfort standard for buildings. I'm also director of the Good Homes Alliance, which looks at broad issues around good homes or about sustainable homes. And I'm also on the board of the committee of the UK Indoor Environment Group, along with Derek here on my left. So when they approached me to speak at this event and said, we want you to take a position on energy efficiency versus well-being, I said, I can't do that. That's not possible. I just kept on refusing. So they asked me to check. And, but unfortunately, you're not going to have the chance to sit on the fence. I'm the only one who can do that. So you're going to have to make a vote. We're going to make it a binary question, an in or out, just like a referendum. And even if only one extra goes one way or the other, that's going to be the answer and result. So, there you go. One thing that I think might be useful to help is that we're taking sustainability to be the 3 pillars of sustainability. We're not taking it as just being environment. Sustainability as a whole is going to be the 3 pillars. So that's what we'll be voting on. I could give you examples of buildings that are energy efficient and not very good for well-being and so on. But I'm not going to do any of that. I'm going to leave that all to the arguments of the people on my side. The only thing that I'm going to say, as a kind of pre-warning to them, and I haven't told them this yet, is that I'm going to be basing my decision on evidence. So depending on what they say and what claims are, I'm not going to be falling for that. I'm going to be trying to dig out those nuggets of evidence. So when I do the summary at the end, my view, that's what I'm going to be looking for. So we're going to just introduce the speakers then, and I'm delighted we've got a great panel this evening. On my right, on the right wing, we've got Professor Andy Ford from here, from the London South University. And like myself, Andy first started work at Max Water Partners as a building services engineer. But has had an illustrious career since then, and is now working, passing on his knowledge to the next generation at LSBU. And joining him as his supporter is Tom Taylor, who is a principal consultant from BRE, also a building services engineer originally, but now working in the BREEAM strategic development team. So that's a great team. On the left wing, we've got Professor Derek Clements-Groom, again, who illustrious career, now based at Reading University, and sits with me on the UK Indoor Environment Group, and offers strategic advice on buildings, walk lines, and particularly how they perform for occupants. So, Derek, welcome. Thank you. And Karine, as his supporter, so Karine Gunard from Skanska, and Karine is specialises in sustainability as a design manager particularly for schools and office buildings, a large scale commercial building. So, welcome, all of you. Thank you very much for agreeing to join this panel. So if I move on now and talk to you about the voting. So, I think what are we doing? That's fantastic. Vote in real time. I was going to talk to you here about false claims and how your children will grow up much better looking if you voted for Wellbeing, and how you'd be much richer if you voted for energy efficiency. But I don't need to, you've all done it already, you've already decided. So that's the voting starting position: 62% for Wellbeing, 38% for energy efficiency. Work cut out. Fantastic. That's me done. I'm going to be ruthless with time. I'm going to give people 1 minute warnings, and we'll wave at them and tell them that as well. We're going to race through as the evening goes on. We're going to have plenty of time to ask your questions, and I'm going to be ruthless with you as well. When you ask questions, please make sure there's a question there. You can make statements, but I'll only give you a certain amount of time. Please finish it off with a question if you possibly can. Otherwise, I'm likely to cut you off. So at that point, I'm going to hand straight over to Andy Ford to lead. No, have I got the wrong way around? Tom to lead off on the energy efficiency standpoint.
Thanks very much. Good evening, everyone. Okay. The argument for prioritising energy efficiency is clear. It's about people and humanity in the most fundamental way imaginable. Buildings are responsible for more than 40% of global energy use and 1/3 of global greenhouse gas emissions that are responsible for climate change, the single biggest threat to the global economy, global environment, and global health and well-being. The majority of these building-related emissions comes in the form of carbon dioxide as a result of burning fossil fuels to provide heating power, but there is a significant scope to reduce these emissions through making gains in energy efficiency using proven policies, technologies, and knowledge that already exists. UNEP estimated that cost-effective emissions reductions and energy savings are between 30 and 80% are possible in many countries, and they've also highlighted how achieving such results in the building sector with great opportunities to boost local economies and improve living conditions, particularly for low-income communities. In order to realise the potential savings and reduce the impact of climate, essential that the focus on sustainability in the built environment remains fixed on improving energy efficiency. The implications of failing to address the issue of diet, with even a 2 or 3 degree temperature rise predicted to have dramatic effects on people on the planet. In this scenario, the rate at which northern polar ice caps and melting will increase, leading to sea level rise that will endanger a large percentage of the world's population within coastal cities. The impacts on biodiversity will be devastating, with ecosystems unable to adapt and increasingly acidic oceans making it difficult for sea life to survive. In Europe, heat waves and extreme summers will give rise to more heat-related deaths and an increased risk of wildfires. But the most severe consequences will be felt by those least able to benefit about it. Rapid urbanisation leading to inadequate housing will leave the poorest in society the most vulnerable to extreme climatic events. And there will be huge increases to the risk of drought and flooding, with parts of the world suffering food scarcity as they struggle to support active agriculture. Making energy efficiency the primary focus of building design will help to mitigate climate change and help to alleviate these threats, whilst creating a number of other significant benefits. Buildings that have been designed to minimise energy consumption using effective passive design will typically have excellent fabric forms and reduce demand for artificial lighting, mechanical ventilation, and air conditioning. The same passive design features that help to reduce energy consumption also create significant benefits for building users, helping to maintain more comfortable firming, increasing levels of daylighting, and ensuring adequate supply of fresh air. So energy efficient buildings can be healthy buildings too. Energy efficient buildings also cost less to run. For many commercial buildings, the costs associated with energy consumption can account for a relatively small proportion of total expenditure, but the savings start to add up when also considering the reduced installation and maintenance costs for buildings that avoid the need for extensive heating, ventilation, and air conditioning equipment through implementing effective passive design. In the domestic sector, energy costs are much more significant in the UK, with 2 million households living in fuel poverty, 15,000 deaths a year as a consequence of people living in cold homes that can't afford to heat. Sustainability has to be considered with respect to social, economic, and environmental impacts. The design and operation of the built environment impacts upon each of these areas for influencing the health and well-being of building users, building operation costs, and most importantly, the contribution toward climate change. There are many different definitions, but at its heart, sustainability is about the capacity to ensure generations are able to prosper. The actions of recent generations over a few hundred years upset the balance of the Earth's natural cycles that have taken billions of years to evolve, meaning that future generations will struggle to survive, let alone prosper. The sustainability of that planet is threatened by the climate change problem, and we know that the climate change problem is principally an energy problem. This is why energy efficiency is key to mitigating climate change, and why energy efficiency has to remain the focus of tackling sustainability challenge.
Fantastic, Tom. Perfect. 5 minutes. So if I can hand over to the first Wellbeing speaker who's leading the debate on that side.
Okay. I'd like to start by considering the productivity of the nation. We talk a lot about productivity. Now, where does that come from? That comes from the energy of the nation. That's the people's energy. Now, when you've got energy, you need health and well-being. If you haven't got energy, you're low energy. You've got health and well-being. This leads to more creativity and productivity. We know the well-known figures about costs in buildings, the energy to rental to building business costs are roughly 1 to 10 to 100 approximately. So that figure is well known. We also know that absenteeism and presenteeism in the UK is worth and wastes about £100 billion a year. And of that, a good part of that are things that we do with our buildings. So how do you get a wellness? What is wellness? Healthy mind, healthy body, and there's many definitions in the literature. At the moment, in the UK, America, we're looking at the WELL standard. The WELL standard is interesting. It's 7 issues there. We take out fitness and nourishment for a moment. The other 5 issues are to do with fresh air, water, lighting, environmental factors, and mood. The things we do and create in our building affect us, our cognitive abilities, and our mindsets as well. And that is one bit that's been left out. And a lot of the codes and standards and things that we not use. The strength of this is that the medical evidence was fed into the WELL standard. And that's not usual in all the other things that we normally have. So this leads us on then to what I'm looking at the moment, the flourish model. Flourish because you thrive, you flourish in environments. And that is composed of 3 main pillars: the environmental factors, which we know the heat, the light, the sound. The economic factors, and those things are about absenteeism, about staff retention, about staff attraction, in matters like that. So you cannot do something. And the third factor is the wow factor, the things you can't do, the soft factor. Looking out of the window, seeing green, decor, aesthetics, those are things in rooms, apparently have many so. Things you can't put a number on, but they're really very important part of the design. So that combines economy, feelings, and the environmental factor. So, in summary, the human resource actually drives the primary cost. This is the big thing. If you haven't got that, you're wasting salaries of people, and your business doesn't work together. Human energy drives productivity. And if you've got the conditions for good productivity, it hits in 3 regions. First of all, the individual is more fulfilled. Secondly, the company gains. And thirdly, the nation gains, because the health costs, NHS costs are less. You've got less absenteeism. So you gain from that. And well people and healthy people have the energy to drive forward in their work. And that benefits all of us.
So I'm going to be talking about why energy efficiency, more particularly why well-being has been overlooked in favour of energy efficiency. I've been looking about energy efficiency since the early 1970s, and it's the only thing that has been consistent. We've had ups and downs. We've had things such as the opening of the zero carbon pipe, large focus on housing, on energy efficiency, which we gradually were shifted towards, focus on well-being, and then a lobby which got rid of energy efficiency. We haven't lost the main target. Our main target remains the same as before, as has been saying for quite a long time now. His approach to achieving an 80% cut in carbon by 2050 has been simple. It's been half the demand, double the efficiency, and then half the carbon from the energy system. And then we're hit well. We get to 8 if we do that. That has to be our continuing focus. I'm not particularly against the idea of well-being. I am in favour of arguing that energy efficiency should be our primary strategic focus. Well-being is part of a tactical response. What we're trying to achieve is a strategic plan. We're trying to hit something that is a long way away in time. We must have something that enables us to measure our approach and enables us to keep focus on that approach. So, we've talked about people energy, more creativity. Yeah? What's that creativity for? To try and hit our target, to try and reduce the energy. We've talked about absenteeism, and we've suggested that buildings currently work, actually, even without energy efficiency. There's a suggestion somehow that our energy efficiency has led to less focus on well-being. To be honest, we've been building buildings for a very long time, and we have yet to achieve energy efficiency. Even in our new buildings, we have a long way to go. This is important. We must keep going. That's my main argument. Our human resource does need to be used. The wow factor. Really, I want more and more and more buildings to have one. But what I'm really interested in is to have that wow factor and very, very low energy demand. Because this is passive, as it's not about machines particularly. It's about building buildings that will stay low energy for a very, very long time. We're not talking about 2050. We're talking about all those hundreds of years beyond 2050. This is our moment to focus on achieving a set of buildings that are low energy, will deliver us independence, will deliver us good quality of life forever as a society.
Thank you, Andy. And then we on to last but not least, well-being.
Thank you. So, health and well-being. As Derek mentioned, why do we do it? So, just a few figures for 40,000 deaths a year in the UK due to or related to exposure to occupation. 9,500 deaths in London alone. So, well-being really needs to tackle quality, especially in the UK. But I also wanted to talk about the competitive edge that can bring for employers. So, as Derek mentioned, it is a way to attract best talent. When you look at companies such as Google, LinkedIn, and Yahoo, they see it as a way to attract the best people on the planet. Also, the millennials want a bit more than just the desk and chair. They want a nice environment to work in. They want more than, they want values, and they want experience, and they want helping just in office. We've also seen it. We've also seen an increase in market demand for well-being in offices. For example, the well-being standard is being driven by firms such as Land Securities, and Deloitte have got an agreement with Delos to found the well-being standards. There's also a company, Atkins, who have developed the well-briefing scheme, which is quite similar to the well-being standard, which is looking at physiological and psychological parameters and measure it in buildings. It's also worth indicating that there seems to be a change in the way we work, and we more interested, especially in offices, more interested in collaboration and connection with people. So the way we currently the buildings are set up doesn't work anymore. We work in a different way. We need to be able to collaborating, which buildings such as the Building Standards certified buildings can bring. And also, as Derek mentioned, Wellbeing makes business sense. Better buildings, less absenteeism, better productivity. It really does make sense. I really wanted also to talk about energy efficiency and the fact that we still don't really get it right. We focus on energy and also air tightness of buildings, but we found, with a lot of surveys on the subject, that air tightness of buildings are just too airtight, and the air quality within the building is not good. So although we've been focusing on this for many years now, we still don't get it right. So is it time to just focus on something else, such as well?
Great, thank you. So, Marina's giving you a bit of a challenge there. There was a straight pattern over to the side of the mark. I don't know who wants to respond next.
I think that's back to me again. Just to pick up on the last comment, I think just because we haven't got energy efficiency right today, isn't a reason to give up on it. It's to go about it, think about something else. It's so important that we need to kind of focus on it and make sure we get it right and kind of achieve those basics before we move on to anything around that.
We're not taking questions yet, but unless it's about a point of or technical order. Okay, we can't take that. Sorry. Big up in.
Yeah, so I think the fact that we haven't got energy efficiency right is all the more reason to kind of continue focusing on that and making that the kind of primary thing to look at in design. I think there are lots of strong arguments goes without saying to consider health and well-being, but I guess the point of the debate is if it has to be between one or the other, you can't do both. If it comes down to a decision which means prioritising one over the other, I think it has to be energy efficiency in terms of the wider global impacts and the impacts for future generations rather than which are going to be significant and changing rather than tweaks to the indoor environment which might make small gains in productivity and make people happy and more companies want profits and all those kind of things. I think for me, in terms of all those things, happiness, feeling good, productivity, there's no doubt that indoor environment has an impact on those things, but I think it's sort of more core important things in life which have a much greater impact in terms of it's about your relationships, it's about your job satisfaction, it's about whether you go into work feeling like you're going to be doing something important and changing the world today. It's going to make you much more engaged and productive and extra after saying improve their life or something like that. I mean, those things are nice to have, but they're not the key. They're not the key issues in kind of happiness and productivity. Whereas if you think about climate change, then energy efficiency in buildings is one of the key, because it is the most important thing, and it's the thing that presents the key opportunity for mitigating climate change and reducing consequential impacts. I think, yeah, I think that's the backbone of my argument. It has to be about survival of the planet outweighs sort of complex tweaks in the short term. I think the other thing which I kind of alluded to last time around was that energy efficient design doesn't necessarily impact the buildings. I think the key factors, the most important things in terms of providing a healthy indoor environment, a comfortable environment are it's the thermal comfort, it's the air quality, it's the daylight, it's the things which go hand in hand with energy efficient buildings. I think the nice to have things on the outside, the more the interior layout stuff and the more subjective things and the things which are difficult to quantify. I think it's hard to make make a case or not, make an argument for kind of prioritising these things with questioning benefits over prioritising measures which are known to improve energy efficiency and have impact. And so for me, if it comes to that, a straight decision between the two, then I know which way I'd be going. I think that's it.
And if you've got anything before we go to
Summarise. So I was discussing this earlier with a colleague, and he said, well-being, that is what we're trying to achieve, but it's like shifting deck chairs around on the deck of the Titanic. And I think that's my point. We have to get energy efficiency right. Obviously, good design involves understanding what people want, and that's what we've got to deliver, but we haven't done it yet.
Great. Thank you very much for that, guys. And final time before we open the floor to questions. Final time for the Wellbeing people, and I'll do the same thing. Very much speak on
Well, let's get about this. 1972 was the fuel crisis in Britain. So we woke up to the fact that standards in the UK were very poor for insulation in some fuels. And there was a great moving forward from them, which accelerated 20th century, we concentrated on reducing energy consumption. But sustainability, in 1987, the Brundtland report made the key issue. It's about quality of life. It's about people, first of all. Now, we have to take care of resources. So water and the effects of pollution, energy, and waste are all important. There's different parts of the world with a different priority on some of those issues. So the difficulty is when one problem comes up, we tend to focus on that, and that drives forward, accelerates at the expense of other things. And it isn't just about energy efficiency. I think efficiency is an overused word. What about effectiveness? You can have, for example, the right air supply to a room, which you could measure, and it can be okay. But if the air has no impact on the breathing level of the human individual, it's ineffective, even though the right amount of air is there. So let's think about effectiveness rather than efficiency. Now, the human issues help the human endeavour. We do things better if our concentration. It's the mental thing. The mental well-being is really important, and that's been omitted. It's not just the technical feature of well-being in the environment, just like a fancy arrow thing. It's not like questionable benefits. The benefits are becoming clear because now what we didn't have at the beginning of even 10 years ago is mental evidence. For example, if we take sitting and standing, when you're sitting, 20 calories per hour. When you're standing, 40. When I'm standing bang on violin, 170. And we didn't know those things. Now, look at the Mayo Clinic's report on this issue of sitting and standing in the office, and you will see that this affects glucose levels, heart rate. So there's a lot of information there about how it affects the body and the mind. This is not technical features, it's not adults. This is actually key to our existence. And there is work by Harvard which shows if we ignore that, we actually affect mortality as well. We know that in the case of air pollution very strongly, but even on these other things away from air pollution, it does actually affect things very good. And now, energy efficiency. What about the performance gap? So you have the best of intentions to get your building to be energy efficient, with all the best intentions in the world. Absolutely fine. That's absolutely great. Then when you measure it, you find, oh God, it's not quite much more. You know, what's gone wrong? Well, it could be the design hasn't done anything wrong with such. There could be lots of reasons, of course. But two big reasons. One is that the facilities management is adopted. The second reason is human behavior. We haven't had the human behavior in the estimate. Human behavior is very variable. We have to understand the effect of human behaviour on the things we do. And that, if you ignore it, you will continue to have the performance gap. So, doing the calculations, doing the computer programs is not enough. Then the next thing, energy is very related to temperature. Okay. But temperature is not the only thing that happens to the body. The air is equally as important. Take 4 seconds for air to have an effect on the brain concentration. So we should have not just temperature monitors, we should also have it. And the lighting side is very important in the world standard. It's relating it to the human rhythms, circadian rhythms, to begin to understand the nature of morning light, evening light, how it affects us and our health and well-being. And it can make us very depressed if you don't work very well, and so on. So there's those deeper issues which are now becoming exposed, which we can't ignore them. If we ignore them, we're really going to still be relatively unhealthy and not do our work very well. Of course, we want energy effectively in driving setting, of course. But the human issue, if you do a building and you concentrate your energy at the expense of the human condition, that is not the right practice. I think we really have to make sure we get the human and social matters right first, and we will find it will follow. A lot of surveys show that if you get the well-being right, the energy, the buildings tend to perform quite well in energy terms. So there is a relationship, no formula. It seems to sort of be a trend in that direction. So care of the human being will lead to care in the building, will lead to better efficiency. So, Kareem,
Yes, I just wanted to add to that some figures from the CBRE office in the first well-being certified learning. And once complete, they've done a competency survey which shows that 80% said that the new environment has had on general business, 90% said new space created positive impact on well-being. So we can already see that as what a tangible benefit. And yeah, just to summarize, we really need to focus on humans because we need to make sure that whether it's at home or in the office, and it has an impact on the employer as well in terms of revenue, absentees, and not just people. So yeah, human resources should be the real part of
Great, thank you very much. So this is your moment. I'm going to take 2 or 3 questions at a time. So I'm going to start with the lady there and the gentleman at the back. Great. And your question?
The question is, last year,
Is this a question?
is it not possible to create good building design documents that provide building
Great. Can you do it all together? Very good. And the gentleman in the back.
I spent a bit of time looking in Germany at some more modern buildings, and they didn't seem to have the same problems due to new buildings which are unpleasant to live in. They seem to be better designed, better built,
Okay. And there was one more, the lady here on the right. Let me just take that one as well, then we'll stop to answer your question.
As you say, logically, nothing like the metrics actually quantify and particularly linked to productivity. Like, we seem to always be looking at the same case study on a call center. So, is that not a perfect representation of the building establishment?
Great. So, we'll take them one at a time. Health and wellbeing, can we do it all together? Who wants to go first on this?
Okay, so what's been happening and keeping a focus on well-being has been our desire to make things efficient. We have, and we can, make buildings that people like, people enjoy living in. And they've been measured, and it's possible. I've got evidence that I've built one of them, with fly building. But they are not all built like that, even in Germany and even in Austria. But they can be, and indeed what has been happening is the focus on efficiency has driven us to understand what it is people need and what it is, therefore, we are trying to brief the designers to do. And that is what's happened, and that's been driven by efficiency, and we must understand people. I completely agree. We must understand people, and then we design what they need and then build what they need. But we haven't. Because we haven't been thinking. The first question.
And you guys want to
Well, I think the lady suggested can do it all together, and I think we can, because obviously we don't want inefficient buildings. But the energy has been quite well established a long time. The human condition is rather more recent, and we now have advanced post-occupancy evaluation studies where you do not just use questionnaires, you measure evidence using sensors and various things about how the environment actually is at that moment and how your body is at that moment. And I think this is going to produce a lot of very good evidence to help us understand the connections between those things that we do. Because as humans, we perceive the whole, not the bits and bobs. Exactly.
I'm sure we're going to get more questions on that one. Anybody got thoughts on Austria, better design and better build, or on BRE collecting evidence for modelling? You go first. Let's start with
I
what you
want
guys.
to talk about air tightness actually. There's a recent survey by the Innovate UK, it's called Building Performance Evaluation, that looked at how actually green buildings perform, and the air tightness being particularly good. But what the buildings that rate quite high are the ones built to passive standard. So unfortunately, you're the chair, and I don't know if we can talk about it, but so it is possible to get it right. I don't think it's just a standards we're using and knowledge, but beyond what's required to
Clarify what the standards
I could. They are beyond building regulations. I don't think it's fact that it's beyond the regulations that makes them work. It's the rigorous quality control that goes attached to it that makes it work. And it's not just an energy standard; it's a comfort standard as well. So it's rigorous on both. So, do you guys want to respond to that, or and the BRE?
Yeah, it's fine. This is a fundamental part of it.
Okay, the BRE role in gathering evidence on top of that.
Yeah, I guess I'll take that. It's a really tricky one. So, and like you say, it's difficult to gather evidence. You've got to gather lots of different types, and you've got to find what the is. So you've got to combine records from all kinds of HR departments and surveys and all these different things to try and come up with some sensible records. So the Wellbeing Council report had the backing of all the 12 Wellbeing councils, a list of 15 massive consultancies for implementing out. So this one will be much more research money than BRE has. And they sort of scratched the surface, they ended up with a report. Some might say there's more of a literature review and summary of existing reports, which some of which simply done 15, 20 years ago, and the evidence and stuff provided to me didn't seem to move things on much beyond that. It's not raising a new problem or providing new data. They're just into what the before it flies. It's summarising stuff that's been out there, everyone's known about. It's just the kind of cyclical nature of things that it was a topic of focus maybe 15, 20 years ago. Everyone gets excited about it, says yes, this is what we need to do, and it just dies down again. But nothing happens now. So it's again, it's uneffective use of it. So I guess my main point is that it's a massive topic, and I don't think the army alone has the resources to solve it or gather the evidence required.
Yeah, sure. But then you mentioned call centre effects, but in fact there's a lot more evidence about that. The recent report by Cooper and Browning about the effects of breathing on productivity, creativity, very regulatory. Anyone who's, I can't obviously give you all the references on top of it now here, but now I have to disagree a little bit here. The UK Building Council, I was part of that report. There was a report on retail offices, retail stores in 2016. Now, it's true, of course, you do have to review the literature, of course, absolutely right, and what a large review, and there's a group, international group of about 50. But the key thing is that before that report, people were saying, oh, it's going to be all very interesting, very good, it's the holy grail and all that, but, you know, how do you measure it? It's got metrics, there is a page, it's given you the metrics. It actually looks at the things which we ignore, things that companies can measure. They know their absenteeism rates, they know their sickness rates, they know their retention rates, they know their traction rates. This is real data that companies can see and measure. And if you put that together with the things which we have done over the years, which is measuring yourself around us in the air and so on, okay, that is nothing new. But the POE is now much more advanced. The bus survey, which people do, the Leastman Index, all very interesting. But now there are more advanced systems, they can use those, they build on. So we're all progressive, evolving. We can build on those with modern technology. So the British Council offices are doing a launch of their report on wearable technology and the effect on office occupants in September. And I think that's going to be really interesting. So we're getting better methods, more detail, and more international efforts on this area.
Great. And just to plug one of my other hats then, this is why I'm part of the UK Indoor Environment Group. Looking at where is this data, where does it come from, how robust is it, and what can we use, and what can we trust. So, the next groups, I'm going to take one of those two people there, and Bruce, and then the one on the right there, and I'll come back over this side in a moment.
My question was referred to the Innovate UK report. I'll try to keep it short, but that was what was interesting about that was a lot of buildings in that report were designed to be really energy efficient. It's not doubly damning that the buildings designed to be efficient, but performance, and that's kind of the anchor of your argument that the building that will not do very well. So I think probably possible to prove that much as well as we should. However, on the Wellbeing side, all the multi-affiliation building user surveys that I've sort of seen, I've done on buildings that were designed to be very sort of designed for Wellbeing, basically. So I was wondering how much the control group has been assessed in all those studies to see that if you just design a new building, and lots of people move in and see it's, it's not, Wellbeing's not been considered, it's just been designed well. The architect design team, and people move in, it's all shiny and new, and nice windows and nice desks. People are going to be less likely, you have reduced absenteeism, they'll have their retention rates, people will generally be happier. It's going to fit into that control. Great.
Bruce?
Yeah, Professor Ford mentioned the point probably a lot of people do not about that, but it's at the University of East Anglia, and it's about 20 years old, and it was the most energy efficient university. And the maximum well-being building at the time, maximum hours. We now have another, that was Britain's best building. We now have another building called Britain's greenest building, called the Enterprise Centre, which is a massive house and has an incredible impact on well-being if you go to it. obviously built that building and did a school, similar standards, which was incredibly energy efficient. The children, because the air quality was so good, were more attentive and learned better, so had better well-being. And the heating was switched off for 3 weeks and then nobody realised. Now, my question is, we just, some people in this country have voted for Brexit. Would it not be advisable for us to build, and it won't cost any more, build in London here where we want to attract international, to build all new buildings to this standard of energy efficiency and well-being, which is attracting people here. Now that we may be less inclined.
Yes.
We're back to the Brexit thing, thank you. Right over there.
That's the way to help you. You've got my extra word. So I came to late my departure by a day to be at this debate in 2003. It was a very similar debate across Europe. And I'm wondering whether this is a timeline issue. In Australia, we decided energy efficiency and well-being were equally important. And 15 years ago, I was embarked on energy efficiency ratings, which is a and very soon after, we also embarked on a wellbeing index at the same time. As a result, we got challenging units to both. And what's been happening over that time, I guess the wellbeing is about 10 years old, and energy about 15, 20 years old. We have found that energy efficiency has improved from roughly 5% of cost down 1% and around about 0.5% probably over that period of time because it was easier to measure and address, whereas the complexities are here. Well-being is not complex. I'm wondering if the time has come. The time has come to recognise that we have put a lot of effort and have achieved immense amounts in a short point to continue. But this is my shot at coming to a totally effective on an effective point of view. Sorry, well-being data. Whereas Australia is very common, and we speak both in terms of being equally efficient because, and now we have productivity indices which are used on a regular basis. In fact, commencing projects are building according to productivity as opposed to including well-being. So, and well as we've got a lot. So my question is, has the time come for focusing on well-being in a much more intensive way than just thinking about it?
Great, thank you very much. Chloe, do you mind feeding some of the problems you mentioned somewhere else? So, 3 questions. One on is the data for health and wellbeing is in the control group. I'm going to leave the one about true build or new buildings to both. We'll come back to that towards the end. I'm going to keep that one. And then look at this final question of the question of time to focus on well-being to a much higher degree. You guys, this time.
Sorry, which is question do you know?
I'm leaving out the one about should we do both.
Right. I mean, if I can concentrate on the last question. Focus on well-being. I mean, I agree. When I was in Australia, I found the same thing. But the well standing comes from America. So they hit the point that we need to do something more than what's in the ASHRAE guide and those sorts of issues. And so, as I said earlier, POE methods now evaluate are much more important. And the medical evidence, we don't have medics at our meetings in main institution meetings. Very rarely, if ever, do we have medics. And I'm working now with the Royal Society of Medicine to try and get a group of medics who are interested in people's conditions and buildings to get more involved. Because that's the strength of the well standing. That we're getting real evidence, not just vague ideas about things. And real meaningful data. This is high peer reviewed research from good journals. So I think things will be getting better, but we are a little bit behind Australia, but we'll get there.
Can I just add to that? With regards to Wellbeing, I think it's somehow been covered in we understand it. There's a small section of Wellbeing and they write things like that. And we should be able to choose it. We've started it, but yes, it's not comprehensive yet. So
Great. And Tom and Ellen, can you stick on that same question? Yeah. So to pick up on the green point. So health and wellbeing is one of the sections covered in green. Green's a kind of a holistic methodology, so the idea is that you have to address all the impact ends and not do something that risk of having definitely impacting detrimental impacts in another area. But health and wellbeing is a really key important part of it. And to say that, well, it's kind of breaking new ground in a way itself, I think it's much more detailed, much more focused, much more expensive. But indoor environment, I think in green, it started 25 years ago. The first green scheme had 4 sections, which were like 2 pages each. One of those 4 sections was indoor environment. It's not new, we've always done it. It's always been there, it's always been funded. Will continue to be. What's the kind of issue is that green is just a voluntary standard or a sort of page and stuff. But we don't, in this country, don't have any regulation. I think it's how to address these issues. So building regulations don't really cover sustainability aside from energy efficiency, living on water. There's nothing which really addresses thermal comfort, daylighting. And when we speak to CLG and people that kind of decide what becomes a regulation and what isn't, there's obviously not much of an appetite to bring new stuff in at the moment. It's more about dropping stuff out. So it's unlikely that we're going to get more regulation from the certain viewpoint because it has to be driven on a voluntary basis and people will just roll these things so the issue with and stuff. But this is really, I think we're trying to provide a framework to do that by addressing the key issues like thermal comfort, by people not to take on daylight and what the impact as well. Or air quality, fresh air, and specifying the VOC material and those kind of key important things which have quantifiable benefits, which are known to make it. So I guess my response is that I think it is known about, it is addressed, and there is a framework for addressing it. It's just that it's not done very well.
Yeah, okay, so I think it's a really interesting question there, timeline issue. So my answer, I think, will be about the UK. I wish we had stuck with a very straightforward energy efficiency target to start with, and then we had been able to follow it on with a well-being approach. But we didn't. We brought those things together rather early at the stage, and we talked about carbon and all sorts of things in one big topic. Because I think if we'd gone the route that has gone in Australia, we would also have discovered that energy efficiency is the easier thing to achieve out of the two. But we haven't. So in the UK, I don't think the timing is yet right until we reach that point. Then maybe it's a shift in tactics. We maybe would go there. But I think at the moment, we're not at that point.
Very moving towards areas of disagreement. You mentioned, Tom, something about, I didn't quite understand, much more expensive. What did you mean by that?
So green provides most people from Australia in the construction scheme about design requirements for the building and stuff. We do have an in-use scheme, but it's not as detailed as well requires expensive costs lots of money to get that expensive
Well, the figure I have, okay, I understand what you said. The figure I have, I'm using the world standard, is between 0.5%. But when you actually look at the value which comes out of that, in terms of health and well-being, you only need changes of even 1% of productivity, make a very big difference, because it's related to your salaries of your organisation. You don't want big numbers. But in fact, there are a whole range of evidence now, which is getting firmer from various countries across the world, with good places for research, which is showing differences could be anything from up to 20%. Depending on the situation. So you can't pick one figure. It's a very big part.
But okay, you need between 0 and 0.5% of buildings.
Yeah, that's something that the initial cost. So in other words, that's what now, the thing about looking at green, it does have a section, but it's still about, you mentioned that like that. We've got to go beyond comfort. Comfort itself is not enough. You've got a basic level of comfort, and you've got basic regulations. If you want a great building, you want to move above that level, which is why I mentioned approach earlier on. And the well standard, if you take lighting, it isn't just a measure of air index and a look strategy. It's about recognizing that we are human beings and we respond to the environment around us in a very sensitive way. On the lighting side, it's to do with the light quality through the day, which alters our patterns of melatonin, cortisol, and attention, and arousal patterns as well. So it's a much more deeper understanding of how we interact with the environment. That doesn't go out in green. But the well standards a step in the right direction. I'm not saying it's already, I think it's an evolving picture. And I know that somebody in the audience is looking at smellscapes and looking around KO, looking at how we feel things. And we've got experiments with brain sensors looking at how our moods alter when we're in bad environments and good environments. And that is new information, which is real hard evidence of where we really truly react. I think a lot of the regular older code practice will, on this area, will move up and be a much higher standard. So you've got to look at the deeper meaning of how we react with the environment.
And can I take that as your answer for the question about if you have a new building anyway, don't you just get more well-being from that? Doesn't matter, don't you just feel better by moving to a well-being building? So you're saying there's evidence that shows that isn't the case.
I mean, normally when you measure this, you leave at least 6 months before you do the measurements for the new building. But actually, I have to say, not all new buildings are welcomed by people, but they could be for lots of reasons. It could be a rotten location or all sorts of things. So it doesn't automatically mean but what the experiments do is they leave it for 6 months or so. They don't quickly measure. They leave it, for example, people settle down, then do the measurements. And there's lots of those kind of studies around.
And just to reinforce that point, so we have to have a approach studies and see whether all new buildings make people happy. But guys, do you want to respond on this point about some people just be happy moving to a new building? Or is it well-building standards that design for what we have?
I just reiterate our original points around getting fundamentals right. I think whilst we've still got masses of new homes that might be a massive risk of equally getting this kind of key areas of design right in the first place. I think that's the most important piece which are going to make homes unlivable rather than just a little bit uncomfortable. I think we've got to focus on kind of closing out these important areas first before finding out whilst I think that would be great to have a simple perhaps how we've got basics at the level before
Great. We've got time for 3 more questions, I think. There's a lady over here who wants to do. The gentleman in the green shirt. You have to go through say I'm going to do the gentleman there in the jacket. So
2 questions, but I'll be quick. First is to well-being. So my question is energy efficiency the only factor that's preventing well-being, or is it even a limiting factor that's preventing well-being in buildings? I mean, you talk about how increasing the well-being of the staff, increases productivity, people work better when they're at work and they're less absent. But is that across, you cite Google, and I'm sure that's the case in finance and other high-profit industries where they can afford to spend that money, but do you not think other limited by the finances they have available in their profit margin. And then my second question is to energy efficiency team, and it's about where do you think the compromise lies? Because clearly you have to have some level of buy-in from people that are want to offices, companies have to want to move into the offices and design, and people have to want to buy the houses that are designed. Where do you think you have to draw a line where you don't compromise all well-being for the sake of energy efficiency? Where, and I'm sure as you increase well-being, you get more buy-in, so you can sort of push the energy efficiency agenda more. But where do you think that compromise currently lies?
Great, gentleman in the green shirt.
Well, I think my question is rather simple. Is it, can really well-being be achieved without energy efficiency? Is there an example where a building where you really achieved a lot of well-being at the expense of a lot of energy?
Okay, great. And
isn't well-being a great way of smuggling in better controls and better building environments into buildings in front of occupiers? Isn't this like a total win-win where suddenly you get good well-being, better controls, and better building operations? So, and occupiers are taking it up because you could say, "Oh, you're healthy now." Isn't that a great marketing strategy?
okay, great. So there's a bit of a theme emerging here, isn't there? So we've got three questions that are about doing all of them together, I think. Can we just pick up on the one question, the green shirt, which is the easiest one. Can well-being be achieved without achieving energy efficiency? I went that way this time. That time I'm going to go this way. That time. This time, sorry.
What do you want me to argue the case against? All right. Well, can it be achieved? What is well-being? I think that's one of those questions. Go back to the sorry. Yeah, happiness. Can you achieve happiness? So I looked them up. There's how satisfied are you with your life nowadays? To what extent do you feel things in your life are worthwhile? How happy did you feel yesterday, and how anxious do you feel today? Those are the questions that are being asked by the Wellbeing Survey. Can those be achieved without energy efficiency? Well, probably, yeah. I think you probably enjoy yourself in a tent to that level.
Great. I don't know what to do with that. Over to this side.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. Without energy efficiency, well, I'm not so sure, because originally, when I started in the industry, we used to put lots of water margins on, regular conversations on. Remember, we're very overheated buildings. Overheated buildings are not just wasteful, they're very uncomfortable, they're very stuffy. People fall asleep and things like that. So I'm not sure. I think you actually need a lean building. So being lean with energy actually helps the actual well-being situation, because it's a check on not getting overheated, very wasteful in energy terms, but also very fatiguing in human terms. So I think you really need to work with both. Yeah, I mean, that's the experience, and I think the approach that there's a lot of ways that is I can show that. And I'm sure you've already had personal experiences of being in overheated buildings, not enough air, poor air distribution, and those things. Very simple things, not rocket science, but I think you've got to work both things together.
So we're heading to this point of both together. One of the questions from both sides was then, where do you draw a compromise? Is energy efficiency preventing well-being? If you aim for energy efficiency, preventing well-being, and where do you compromise? And when you're aiming for energy efficiency, where do you compromise on well-being? So there's two sides of the same coin, really, to that question. Do you guys want to start on that? You want to start? No.
Right, can't compromise energy well-being. Well, I think the argument is that we have to think of whole life cost, not just capital cost. We've got to think of the building and the results that we achieve. And so the value, and I can give you lots of good evidence on this, is that when you increase the productivity, hence the well-being better, that outweighs very much so any extra cost that would be involved. there is also another argument, and it's in well-documented research here, is then when you do integrated design, you actually, if you design more efficiently, less waste, and there's no reason why these things should go to the cost anymore. And it doesn't have to cost a lot more to do these things. Okay?
There's something in revision from
Yes, I do personally. I mean, it's a bit complex to talk about. Okay, so where would the compromise be? I don't actually think there should be a compromise. Actually, I think if we're trying to achieve something, especially if you look at our housing stock, when you talk about offices and overheating and comfort and things in offices, I lived in a really nice house now. It wasn't that long ago, it was a really drafty cold house. Actually, the experience of most of the population is the place they live is rubbish. Very uncomfortable and not good. So we've got a long way to go. And energy efficiency, what has made that house a real pleasure to live in? It's a total focus on trying to make sure it was airtight, well insulated, well ventilated, with proper heat recovery. That has delivered a place where I find the dog would prefer to be in than the other one, which is the other room that didn't get like that. So I find animals are quite good centres of where's a good place to be. They go that way. So would I in the morning. It's more comfortable in a well-designed, highly energy-efficient house than it is in one that is not. The well-being side of it, I find I'm happier there, feel better there, yeah, quality is better, the radiant environment is better, the lighting is better. I can't see why I should compromise in order to achieve energy efficiency.
Great. So we're at the point of, well, we have both. And that leaves us the last two questions. Which was Bruce's question earlier. We said, should we build all new buildings to high energy efficiency and health and wellbeing standards? All new buildings in London. And isn't wellbeing a good way of smuggling good controls which leads to better energy efficiency anyway? So, any views on that? And I will take one-word answers from either side.
Well, yes to the suggestion which all including of that. That's it. Yes. Yes, from the side.
Yes. Okay. And the second one, smuggling and good controls, might that lead to better energy efficiency anyway?
Actually, the control element of the buildings is not so much better as personal control. The more personal control you have in your environment, the more satisfied you are, and the higher the
Let me just say, I agree with that, but that's not a knob on the wall.
Yeah.
That's about your ability to adjust the environment by opening the window. That's it.
So, we've come to the point where we have to sum up, and it's not me going to do it first either. There's one on this side who are going to be the first to summarise and set out the final vote of your argument. To influence those few people who haven't yet decided which way they're going to vote. Who's going to do it?
All right. So, we've heard quite a lot of interesting discussion, particularly say the Australian discussion about the order of events. We've heard that we don't particularly necessarily want to compromise, and there seems to be general agreement maybe we don't need to. So, the question, what the hell was the question? It was, are we overemphasising, which
Which is more important, energy efficiency or not?
are the benefits of wellbeing being overlooked in favour of energy efficiency? Personally, at the moment, I don't think they are in this country. It sounds as if there is a question of at which point do you change your focus. I think that's about when you understand how to do something properly. I think you have to think about the world. You have to think that what's our long-term target. It's about climate change. It's about trying to make sure that we still have a world we want to live in. And I think it's a tactical question. At which point do we shift to focusing on well-being? think the focus should begin to go that way. But if we let that take our mind off what we're trying to do, particularly in government level, we'll miss our targets and we can forget about it.
Great. And same for the wellbeing side, who wants to
Yeah, no, I just wanted to emphasise that we can definitely achieve both energy efficiency and natural wellbeing. We touched on green before, and it's an mandatory scheme, but in some local authorities in the UK, it's actually got an annual requirement to achieve green excellence. So, you know, wellness is within a little bit within green, and it's not to say that in the next few years there will be something like libraries mandatory in new buildings. So, I think we need to focus on wellbeing as well.
And on renewables, please, too.
Great. So now it is my turn. You can see why I didn't want to speak, don't you, really? And that's why I'm sat in the middle of the table as well. So I have been asked to sum up quickly. I'm sure you've all made your minds up anyway, but I'm going to try and find my Brexit take on things. The bit at the beginning that I took from Tom and Andy was the scaremongering about the earth-changing effects of climate change and the fact that we have to do and still focus on that. That we have been focusing on energy efficiency already, but we're not doing it very well yet. The Europeans might be doing it much better, we don't know that, but they might be. But the argument is we're not there yet, so let's stick with that. On the other side, I took a lot of information about productivity and creativity out of that. Some money focus, so more trade, more money. And that actually we've never, unlike energy efficiency, we've never focused on indoor air quality properly. It's about time that we started to do that. And in terms of the facts that I picked out 4 facts, 2 from each side, that I quite liked. One was excess coal. 15,000 excess deaths per year due to coal factors. So the fact that we haven't improved energy efficiency in the UK, 15,000 excess deaths per year. I quite like that fact. And on the other side, the absenteeism wastes £100 billion per year for the UK economy. Quite like that fact as well. There was another fact to do with the energy efficiency, which is in terms of getting to our 80% cut in CO2 emissions by 2050, which is a target, but a modelling target. So I quite like that one. And then green offered as a final one was to do with 40,000 deaths related to air pollution in London Road. Whether that's internal air pollution or external air pollution, I wasn't clear, so I have to go and check before we voted. So, it's going to be very difficult, isn't it? You're going to have to make a choice. It is time to have your final vote. You know how this works, I'm going to put it up. Just the final thought to leave you with is this timing question is really interesting for me. Is it time to focus much more on wellbeing? Really the question, I think. And is it time now? So, can we have a look how many votes have we got? People voting as we speak. This is very clever, isn't it? I like this. I'll announce my candidacy tomorrow. And then withdraw it on Friday. Always Friday, sorry. Okay, can people, anybody who hasn't finished yet, can you put your hand up if you haven't finished yet? Okay, a few people. Great, has everyone finished? Anyone who hasn't finished, put your hand up. Everybody's finished, we've got to... Oh, come on, who's cheating? Okay, so come on. You're having Brexit regret, aren't you? Okay, Okay, 60-40. And I noted at the beginning, I think that well-being was 62, so roughly 60, and energy efficiency was 38, roughly 40. Is that right? Did ever ask it? So we've switched completely. If only we'd had this debate before the Brexit referendum. So that was great, guys. It was a very interesting result. There's plenty of chance to talk afterwards and continue the debate. Drinks and nibbles outside. Before we finish, can I just say a couple of quick thanks? Can you just say a big thank you to the people who did get off the fence and do the fence ride? Can I just say a big thank you to you guys for your input as well and for joining in so well, and a big thank you to Chloe and the rest of the organising team at LSBU and their partners. They've done a great job. I think they've run it incredibly well. And everything's worked. It's been amazing.
We show our appreciation for John. What an excellent show. I did pop out just a few minutes ago. It's very important I tip us the wine and nibbles for here.
Great. Thank you, everybody.
This is an opportunity to do a bit of a sales pitch of our next day. We are looking at the fact that the building industry is a multidisciplinary industry. We work in multidisciplinary design teams, yet we teach in specific courses, and architects and civil engineers, and we're looking at the fact to drive sustainability on teaching in the right way and that sort of learning. So we're looking at learning for sustainable environments. It's not just in education, it's in industry as well, we're working on learning. Do we need generalists or versus specialists? That's in October and it's in creation. Thank you.